So we are starting the installation. It's difficult to get all these connections through here if the mainboard is in place. So we are installing this cable bundle first. So you will remove this cover, no matter what it was used for in the past, and you will feed the connectors through everything. Switches, first switches, then the connectors. Hopefully I can do this with one hand. Yeah, just like that, and then you don't need to attach the panel yet. And then the main board. And you will attach the bolt there, and on the other side the spacer, and then the washer, and then the nut, so that the bolt doesn't fall off. So then making sure that the shutter parking sensor is somewhere here, not on the way when you install this mainboard, then dropping it in place. This edge goes to, there is a slot, machine on the support, motor support, so that corner goes there. It's a really tight fit, so don't push too much until you have mounted everything else. So here is the screw hole, it needs to be on the center. Then attaching the screw, I need both hands for this. And the forceps might be handy. Let's see. Trying again. So it might be a bit tricky to find the screw hole position. I'm attaching them both hands and then attaching the screw and then showing what is going on. So I have now the screw engaged, but it's not tightened, so you can, I need to hold this. So hold the bolt and try to rotate the axle, and if you can't hear any extra noise or feel any extra obstructions, then you can continue. If there is some extra noise or issues, then fine tune the board position until it goes away. And this it goes to the slot, because the slot is too small. It is made for 1.4 millimeter port, and this is 1.6 millimeter port, so it may get jammed there, and we can use tiny bit of leverage to get it out if needed. Not much, but just a tiny bit if necessary. So I will check the extra noises and then continue. So there was no any extra noise. Then tightening this screw, hoping to not scratch this board too much. Then we need to attach the beam. So we have the bearing, washers, kind of bearing surfaces, then removing the nut and installing. Can I do this with one hand again? Then I have this single cable, and this goes underneath the support beam. Then I route it from there. The bolt head is actually scratching to the 5 right now, but and did I don't remember. Can I put it there? I actually could. It should be possible to route it from here. If not, then route it here. Try not to put it directly over this FET transistor. This is the power electronic side which drives the motor. Try to not put this cable directly over this. Try to route it somewhere from here or from here. Either one is okay. Preferably not directly over this, but you can route it here or here. And when you have the power cables attached, then it's easier to tie this to them if needed. And the idea is just that you are trying to prevent it getting to this rotating axle because it will have horrible consequences. But you can manage, I think. Yeah. So I'm doing that next, and then showing you I will need at least 5 hands to get this beam back on because the bolt moves. It rotates freely, so it's not that easy to attach this not correctly, but I will show you in a moment. So I have the beam attached, and now I'm just needing to attach this screw. I'm not doing this attaching this on all the individual kits, so I'm just testing this because I need to see if this cable goes over or underneath it and where it goes. Actually, that's I just need the images for reference, so I'm attaching this. You can see it's really tight fit, but it's meant to be. This is meant to go just directly over this connection. It can go so it goes here, for example, but let's see. I'm attaching this and then mounting this connector again and then seeing where it actually goes. Because it's not that simple at all. But now we know this is not the optimal position for this cable, but I'm using just testing, so we'll put now first this and then this and then seeing again. So this nut is pretty tricky to install, but got it in the right positions now, I think. And always after adjusting the mainboard position, always rotate the axle a couple of times to listen. There's no extra noise, so you if you hear some extra noise, then position is wrong and you need to tune it. And don't just leave it like this. It can't create any scratching sounds at all. So this needs to be tightened, but I'm not doing it right now, so it holds for the test. So this needs to be tightened, and then when everything is ready and installed, you will lock this with some Loctite or super glue, just a tiny bit, so that it can disengage by itself during use. So it's easiest. The cable can go like this, for example. Over that connector is easier for mounting this, but yeah, you just need to make some experimenting, and at this point you can route these switches to the other side so that you can mount them here like this to the original panel. So take the original panel out and drill holes and then mount the switches there. if you want them like this. It might be easier to insing this on this side than start this on this side, so that it's less likely to start it accidentally, but I have this the other way around at the moment. So we have this cable, and if we assume that would be the position for the cable, then you can already attach this. And this goes to the back panel, and now finding a good position for this. And you will have the motor wire and this battery wires coming. Maybe it might be good to route this through that slot, if possible. You can test it. You can test it. I think it might be better because then it wouldn't take this curve. It would go more directly down, because you want to get it out of the way. And originally this have that kind of supporting block here, so you can use that to tie down cables, or do like I did, and attach some screws through the holes which originally held that support part, and then use some kind of method mount the wires there. So I'm just going to leave them like this because I'm not going to close this camera body. And if you have cut the slot and you can attach the encoder board there, then I may need to do it now. You can actually, I talked about earlier in previous videos about the slot. I have so much extra stuff which doesn't belong in the final installation that these wires are not part of the installation. So these are for the prototype. But so yeah, now it's then motor in place, then attaching the belt and the screws, but not this one. So these two, if you are going to take out. So I'm going to take this encoder off. You can see this. You need to make a cutout here, the original motor holder here, for this edge of the I/O board. So just a tiny cutout. Can horizontally it's from this screw, but you can check it when you need to remove this motor anyway when installing the main board. So you can now, if you have installed the main board and you don't have the slot yet, you can mount the motor in place without the belt and then check the correct position for this cutout and then mark it and cut it somehow. Now this, so likely if you have the original electronics in your camera, then you have already removed this and haven't installed it back yet. I made it both. So you will remove it from these screws, and then taking the block out, I need 2 hands again. Let's see. And then I'm using forceps to take the actual screws out because it doesn't, I can't. So long screws are a bit tricky to get out. So I took the screws completely out and then I can pull this backwards. And the encoder board mounts here with these screws. But do I have the Torx? I have the Torx screws here, but you have whatever you have. Probably some old ones. So sorry for not showing this, but I need both hands again. So here's the original block which holds the original encoder disc. This is aluminum, and you need to add just a tiny bit of cotton tape. You can put it like this. So cut a tiny piece of cotton tape which goes to a slot, and this area is important. You need to insulate this area. And when installing the new encoder disc, you will get, there is these plastic washers, so you will need to install a set of plastic washers here to insulate this, and then the encoder board goes over it, and then mounting the screws, and then putting the whole system back here and using the original screws to lock it. And then I have soldered the cable to the encoder board, and the cable goes from here to this white connector. So I will put one of the final encoder boards. This is the prototype boards without soldered connections, so I'm putting one of the final ones here. Remember this tape. It's not absolutely needed, but it's good to have here just in case. And these washers are important to remember. If forgetting this and remembering this, then you might survive, but if forgetting both of them, it's not a good idea. So at least the washers, and try to remember the tape. So I'm attaching one of the encoder boards here, the actual one which belongs to this, which serial number this is, it's number 5, and then testing it together with this. So the back panel goes here and mounted with 4 screws like the original one. Maybe I will remove this. It's not that much work. So I will remove my own panel and show you how the back panel goes in place. But first the encoder, of course. So the encoder board assembly looks like this. So it has the white ribbon connector, and here is the encoder mounted. This is, you can see it 2022, so this is from the previous. It was single speed CP16R system, so this is the same board. It was good enough that I reused it on this one. So then mounting it here, and 2 screws. And what I'm doing with this, why I'm testing this individually, is that I'm checking with the oscilloscope. This, probably this one here. Here that the signal is good. It comes from here, and sometimes this, when handling this much, this either the higher LED or the sensor might bend a little, and then they are not well aligned, and it might affect the signal, but if they seem to be about pointing horizontally, then this is good enough, so it should work fine. So I will mount this and then install the rest of the stuff. So I'm taking the back panel out, but I'm not putting the one of the new back panels here, so I'm using it separately because I don't need to. It's much faster that way, and I need to probe some signals for there, so I need to see the back side of it too. So here's the back panel, and this goes here. No, well, I will show you. I will remove this first.